Welcome to A Canadian Investing in the U.S., a podcast and YouTube channel focused on Canadians buying real estate with host Glenn Sutherland.
Welcome to another episode of Canadian Investing in the U.S. This week, my guest is Matthew Scott. Matthew, give everybody a bit of an intro to yourself, and we'll get into this.
Yeah, I'm Matt Scott from London, Ontario. Managed over $40 million worth of projects in real estate. I've been in real estate for about 5 years now. Done over 30 flips, managed over $40 million, and I'm looking outside of Canada and onto different kind of real estate adventures.
Yeah, and in I don't know, we've met a bunch of times, right? So we've had some more loose conversations where we just shoot off the hip whatever we're talking about. But what really got me excited, you were talking about investing in the U.S. and now you're talking about moving to Mexico, investing in Mexico, project management in Mexico, and honestly, we've never talked about Mexico, and I like to go to Mexico like every 5 years, right, for like a week. So let's talk Mexico. We'll talk project management. Well, I don't know. We'll see where this goes.
Yeah, you never know. We always had a great conversation.
Yeah. So, how did this start? What led you to Mexico?
Well, it started with when everything kind of started going south in Canada. I read the book called The Nomad Capitalist.
Okay.
And it's you have to check them out. It's super interesting. I always was narrow-minded about like where I invested, and I knew US was like it was an option to invest, but the more like the last couple of years kind of opened up your mind. And reading this book, it's like the world is your oyster, and like how do the rich do it? How does like Grant Cardone, Rich Dad Poor Dad, all these guys, it talks about like corporate structures and like investing in other countries. What are the possibilities? And for some, I've always we all have I realized through discovery, because I went down to Mexico like 4 times this year, and that everyone has the I want a condo villa in Mexico dream and rent it out.
Yeah.
And it kind of interested me. So like Airbnbs, I went down there with a couple of friends. We hit the streets. Where are these people coming from? What's going on? Why are they building? Like there's like when I went from April to September, like I was blown away at the amount of construction that was built and completed.
What part of Mexico were you in to start?
I was in the Mayan Riviera, so Playa del Carmen. Pardon me?
I got married there.
Oh yeah?
Yeah.
That's a cool place, man.
Yeah.
Anyway. Yeah, so I was in Playa del Carmen. I went to Merida, which is 4 hours north of Playa del Carmen in Tulum.
Okay.
And I couldn't, so when I went actually 2-3 years ago before the pandemic and they shut everything down, I was in Tulum, beautiful. There's this road called Coba Road, and I was like, cool. We stayed in the jungle. We actually like drove 20 minutes into the jungle, and all you hear is awesome. It was crazy. It was awesome. Yeah. It was cool. And then when I returned in April for the first time after they lifted all the restrictions, I couldn't believe that all that forest where we stayed was bought out by Marriott, by big developers, torn down. Like they're putting in infrastructure, roads, like everything.
Yeah,
it was incredible. And so we just started looking into it more, like where you could, like 3-4 years ago, you could buy a beachfront property, like one or two bedroom for like 150,000. They're going for like 400 now.
Wow.
And they're doing a lot of infill. They got rid of a lot of the big developers. They bought a lot of the vacant lots, and they're doing infills now, and prices shot up. Like I just kind of be curious as to what strategies were there for investing down there, and how to live a life without being governed by somebody else, and like working for yourself and living life by design. Really, that's what got my biggest curiosity.
Yeah.
And just started doing some work on it. Like I had a VTB on a lot down there in Mexico for 44 units. One of the lot owners just pulled out on the VTB last minute, so it really didn't work out. But it kind of opened up my eyes. Like there's like it's the Pirates of the Caribbean, and it's safe to invest. You just gotta know who you're investing with. Because there's even Canadians down there doing scams. There's even like everybody's out to get you. Like it's like when I heard the Pirates of the Caribbean, I kind of laughed because it's true. Everyone's just trying to get your money, and Jack Sparrow doesn't care, like.
Yeah. So
But,
what's the plan then? Because you just talked about land development, you talked about like some 400K properties. What's your plan to do down there?
My plan down there is, so I'm going to be doing some. I want to share information with people. I have a podcast starting in international real estate living, and investing.
Okay.
And so what we're doing is showcasing like different developers, agents, mortgage brokers, like how to obtain mortgages, or how to purchase in Mexico, or even just like Costa Rica. Like I'm doing a lot, like just all over, broad span. So I guess to really define that, Glenn, I'm all over the place here. I am moving down to Mexico, going to be managing Airbnbs.
Yeah.
And working with agents and developers to build condos and villas down there. And then see how that goes, and yeah, kind of just stick to that. See, I've always, the place has it's a magical place, man. I don't know. I love it. It's just a whole different scene down there.
So the $1 million question, can you get a mortgage?
Yes.
Okay. All right.
You can. So you can, the place has to have a deed.
Don't all houses have a deed?
A lot of places do. Yeah. So it's just more or less in pre-construction. Like my buddy bought a 1-bedroom suite, and he's been waiting 2 years to get the deed from the condo corporation.
Okay.
So, but he paid for it cash. Like a lot of it's cash down there, but you can get a mortgage. I would suggest you look at the underwriting, and this is, we're going to be doing it on a podcast on it, talking to them, because it could be start up at 6-7% up to 60% LTV, but there might be something in the terms and conditions that raise the interest rate. So you really got to be careful what you're looking at.
Gotcha.
But there's lots of opportunity. Even so, like there's different strategies out there for investors. Really, if you want to, like, if you go approach a developer, one bedrooms are selling $200,000 complete, but they're looking for pre-construction money. They call it friends and family discount.
Yeah.
And you can pick them up for like $150,000 by putting a certain deposit down and waiting. It's kind of like what you do in the new homes here, where you buy it at a certain price, wait 6-7 months, sell it for a profit, and you can walk away with some money.
Gotcha. So this is going to be a question that going to make some people might think it's completely obvious, but I've heard a lot of people talking about like different parts of Europe and stuff. Is there an MLS or anything down in Mexico?
Yes.
Okay, because I know certain parts of like Europe don't have it, right? And it's like to find even something for sale is tricky. So there is an MLS, so that makes things slightly easier. You're talking Spanish though down there. How's your Spanish?
Yo escuchar español un poquito. I'm pretty good. I'm getting there.
You getting there?
Okay. You have to be submerged in it, like they all say, right?
Yeah. Okay. No,
but a lot of it's becoming Americanized down there. So like 50%. So it's the reason why, like, I kind of also like Playa del Carmen and that whole Mayan Riviera, Merida kind of area. Is that 56%? So the stats are, it's the 10th busiest. Cancun's the 10th busiest airport in the world, housing 37 million visitors every year during mainly peak season. And 56% of North Americans are moving down there right now and buying up real estate. They also are developing a train that goes from Cancun Airport into 5 different states, which is
like states of Mexico, or
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so it goes from Cancun down to Playa. You'd have to look at the map, but that whole kind of I'm going to say peninsula there, that train's going to tour everywhere around there.
That's awesome. That's one
very
thing that
American.
Sucks is getting on the bus and taking an hour or 2 long bus ride.
Right?
Yeah.
But it's interesting. It's very Americanized. A lot of people speak English, and they got tons of American restaurants down there.
Okay, so does it make sense to invest here? Like maybe let's talk about like, what if you're looking to manage some of these properties. So people are probably looking to buy some of these condos, but the condos are like $400,000. Like when I started investing in the US, I did it by myself and had to go through the growing pains of doing that. glennsutherland.com/coaching. A 12-week coaching program done 1 hour per week over Zoom from the comfort of your own home. Classes are kept to 5 people to be able to answer everyone's questions. Shortcut the process. Make fewer mistakes. Curriculum available at glennsutherland.com/coaching.
It depends. Like, you can find some for 75,000 on the little bit further back from the beach that you can still bike to in 10 minutes. So those are 75,000.
Okay.
A little bit closer. Like, if the highway is the divider, 75,000 is past the highway and 150 is before the highway, depending on where you are.
And that'll probably dictate what you can charge on Airbnb and stuff.
Correct. Anywhere. So a high season, you probably get like $120 a night. In the low season, you get like $60, $70. But you can do the long-term strategy depending on what you want. I mean, you can do the long-term strategy, and people are getting 1,500 to 1,800. I've even heard $2,000 for a 1-bedroom.
Yeah.
American every month. And then they'll take a little bit less just to fill the whole year, or you kind of just ride the high season and you can still probably gross 20 to 30,000.
Cool. That's nice. And then for figuring out these Airbnbs, I know you'll be local down there, but do apps like AirDNA, do they even exist in Mexico?
Yeah.
Okay.
You can still look at that stuff, and even that all works down there.
That's awesome.
And it really depends on who you're managing. It's like what I found doing some investigation, like, it's just, either you're going to manage it yourself or hire somebody. Just make sure that somebody like really hustles. Like, if they just got to keep on top of it, that's how you keep you're competing with thousands of other people.
Right.
And it's all who you know. It's just like selling condos down there. It's all who you know and market to.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. And putting, like, what I've learned a lot of is even just putting the extra effort in, posting on the places where people who are looking to go down there would go and look, right? Besides Airbnb, like, people will look on like tourist sites and, Facebook groups and all kinds of stuff, right? Just to be the guy that's there where they're looking, right?
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, cool. So any other snags? Like, what is this, like, just as easy as investing in, like, Canada, the US? Like, what is there some differences? Maybe corporations. You mentioned at the very start the corporate stuff. What's that like?
So corporate structures, like, probably like $500 a year, 500 to $1,000. They just recently changed their corporate structure in Mexico to, you could be billed up to 30%.
Okay.
Tax. So, there are ways of getting around it. That's what Nomad Capitalist kind of showed me. Like, if you even have, it's probably better to have another, I don't know, I'm not this, maybe we should put a disclaimer in here.
yeah. So slap something up on the screen.
Right. It's just about, like, so it's called a factura number, which is our Canadian tax ID number. So if you put money into your Canadian corp, lend it to your Mexican corp, and then find a way to bring it back and pay no tax in Mexico, that's just to defer your tax. And it's a little bit more complicated. Totally refer to your accountant, but the tax rate, it's not terrible, it's not bad, it's just 30%.
Okay.
And yeah,
I assume they have the same kind of write-offs and everything that.
Yeah, like, you can write off more, and like, actually, so like, I'm waiting to get it confirmed, but I was told that you can, if you become a temporary resident, you can get $400,000 tax-free every 4 years. And if I pay you cash, I can write off 60% of that.
Interesting.
So there's definitely, and then so it's a cash game out there too. A lot of people would rather just pay cash. So, like, a lot of agents and everything get paid cash down there, and that's the way they prefer it.
And then when you close these properties, is it kind of like the American system where you're using a title company, or like a Canadian system where you use 2 lawyers? Or I don't know if you went through that whole process yet.
I haven't fully gone through it, but I know there's a notary involved, and you have to. So the biggest thing is titles. So there's 3 titles in Mexico. I forget the third one, but it was basically issued by the government years and years ago that was given to people for farmland. I forget what it's called now, but it's rarity. You don't have to. If you don't have like for that, it's a little confusing. It's hard
Yeah.
to get into with that one because it's only in farmland away from the major cities. And like this family, these bigger families from old, like years ago, bought these titles.
Yep.
And the only way you could obtain the full title for that land was to like either pay them for that final deed. It's very rare. You're gonna have to go to rural, like you have to go into the jungle, like it's so like you have to really know what you're looking at. It's not beachfront property, and to bring up beachfront property, it is true that as a foreigner, you're not allowed to own any beachfront or anything like 100 meters from the beach, something like that.
Okay.
But it just sits with your in the bank in trust with your lawyer. They have no power. They have no they can't force your hand to sell the property, buy the property from you. They're just holding it in trust in the corporation, so you can own that, like close to the beach.
Gotcha. So if you're going to buy something down there, would you advise kind of like to go, put it under contract and then have like some sort of lawyer or
100%.
attorney or somebody like go and check the title, check the everything that's before you got going too far?
Yeah, because even the person that you're dealing with, like there's some stories where like you may be buying it off land off somebody or buying a house off somebody that squatted and doesn't even have the lot, like it doesn't even have the deed. So like if that, I strongly recommend, yes, lock it up and then get a notary and an attorney on it.
Yep.
Just because you want to make sure whatever their deed proposal deed or the documentation that you have is legit, because there's some like it's just the Pirates of the Caribbean, wild west. Everyone's trying to make a buck, right? So
yeah. No, it makes sense. So what I'm coming to a conclusion on all of this is, if you're interested in investing in Mexico, go track down Matthew Scott, or find his podcast that's coming out soon and get in touch with him, because I think that there'll be some expertise, especially as you grow this and you get specialists on. I think it's going to probably be a really powerful tool for people who are interested in that area.
Yeah.
You going to keep your Canadian stuff, or what's the plan there?
I'm keeping it for now. I've kind of already liquidated a lot of it anyways.
Yeah.
I've kind of just with the market right now, like I was a predominant flipper for 5 years, bought and burrs, buy and holds. The prices aren't there yet. And the interest rates just make it super hard to obtain anything here. That's why I even like the US too. Like I was like looking at a triplex for $100,000 the other day, and with a vendor take back.
Yeah.
There's definitely opportunities. Like I'm more like I guess just to indirectly answer that, I am, but I'm not, I don't think I'd really buy much unless it's a really good price.
Right. It's a good way to do it.
Super hard.
Why buy it if it's not going to make sense? You need exits, right? You need to be able to, if something changes and you need to unload it tomorrow, that you're not going to lose money on it.
Exactly. And that's where I've learned over the last even couple months, where like you have to hit your exit plans, because if your exit plan of buying and holding it doesn't make any sense, well, selling it is, well, did you at least like make it worth your while? Like I've been presented deals where I had to do a 10-unit conversion and remodel the whole thing because the contractor walked away on them and it was just gutted. And I'm like, he was trying to sell it for top dollar. And I'm like, man, I want to give you the price, but I mean, even if I couldn't get financing and I wanted to sell it, I'm breaking even. Like I'm not making anything.
That has to make sense for you. You got to buy it right, especially now. Right? Something changes in your life, or you partner with somebody, they get divorced, you need to liquidate this stuff like 1 week later after close. Like you can't be stuck with this thing. It has to make sense to be able to even sell it to make, at least get your money back, but ideally make a profit still.
Yeah, days on market, like lending LTVs are getting tough. But I mean, I'm sure, as you know, Glenn, US is better for that.
Yeah, but you're gonna have to be. I think everyone is just has to be smarter. Like we're gonna have to work harder than we used to work and buy smarter than we used to buy. We're going on a little bit of a tangent, but no, it's
true though. Like I've opened up my eyes, my friend. Like I did pretty good, and
yeah,
But I mean, if
Everybody
you're right,
everyone does awesome when it's just, no matter what you bought, it goes up by 20% every year. It doesn't matter if you bought the worst deal in all of London. It wouldn't matter, right? Like for some of these people, you go to some of the meetups and, you're starting to see some people who, may have made some mistakes.
yeah, budgeting and construction is the biggest part. Like it's people don't underestimate and they don't think of the hidden cost of lender fees and all that stuff. That creeps up on you.
Yep, an up market will fix that though, right? It'll, oh, I have to sell it for more. Problem solved.
Yeah. Yeah, you hold on to it for 2 months and make another $20,000-$30,000.
Exactly.
It didn't matter.
Yeah. I had that on one of my properties in Florida. The renovation went long, but it just kept appreciating. In the end of it, we sold it for about 70,000 more than we had planned on selling it for.
Wow.
But like it covered the carrying cost because it just went. But now you can't do that, right? It'll bury you. Yeah,
I know. Yeah, it could be interesting times in the next year.
Yeah, you can see
this is now the start of the downhill slide, my friend. I think we're just starting to see it.
Yeah. So Matt, people want to get a hold of you. What's your contact information, or how do they track you down?
You can track me down on Facebook, Matthew Scott. Or MJ. You can. But just give my email too, I guess, or
yeah, whatever you want. You don't have to give everything if you don't want to.
You can email me at info@mjsproperties.ca. I have a website as well. Yeah, 519-657-6678. Just love a conversation.
That'll work until you move to Mexico.
Right.
I'm sure you're not going to keep your Canadian number, or maybe you could convert it to a VoIP number.
You can use it down there now, eh?
Yeah, I guess you could. Yeah.
You can use
these numbers everywhere now.
Yeah, you can even forward it to your new Mexican number. Like it's unreal, unreal stuff. Unreal stuff.
Awesome. Anyway, Matt, thanks for coming on the show. This was actually a real fun one. I liked it.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for having me, Glenn. I'll have to have you on my podcast next.
Sure, let's do it.
Yeah, buddy.